Well, welcome to the Overflow Podcast. You can find us at theoverflowpodcast.com. We are so glad that you are joining us today. As always, my name is Joaquin.
And I'm Jake.
And we are here with a special, fantastical, I just met him. So I'm going off of what Jay said, guest. So Jay, why don't you introduce my new friend and your old friend to the listeners?
Well, listeners, you guys heard us speak about him last week when I talked about my trip to New York. To the right of me is my brother James, who ran the marathon, the New York City Marathon last Sunday. James, say what up to the peoples.
Hey, what's up? Thank you for having me.
We are glad that you are here. So real quick, before we proceed, we got a bunch of stuff we got to cover.
Word.
Why don't you give us just kind of a little bit of background on who you is?
Yeah, so I was born in L.A., moved over to Atlanta when I was like
What's up?
10 years old. Pretty much grew up in Marietta, Georgia my whole life. I moved out to Atlanta. Right now I'm living in Duluth. And yeah, I'm a physical therapist. I'm also a youth pastor. I've worked with youth kids for the past 5-6 years, and I've done that for a while. And I love running. I like to run. And Jay came up with me this last trip for this marathon, and he was like the best fan ever.
Awesome. And how long have you been a believer?
I've been a believer. I would say I grew up in the church, but I didn't take my faith seriously until college.
That's like a lot of us.
Yeah. Excellent. Not me. I took it serious in kindergarten when I was learning English. And every day I was like, Jesus, help me understand these people.
Help me learn English.
I do not understand. Awesome. So today a lot of stuff has been going on. You know, we got the wildfires out in California. Over the last week and this week. Do you know anybody, James, over there that's been affected by that?
No, I don't. But my friends out in California, they have been talking about it a lot. So, but not directly.
Not directly. I know like Gerard Butler posted his house burnt down.
Really?
Hannah Montana. What's her name? Not Hannah Montana.
Miley Cyrus.
Her house burnt down. Neil Young, his house burnt down. There's been several celebrities, some director, I can't think of what he directed, but he directed some TV show, like some famous show or something, but like his house burned down. Like, so, I don't know if you've seen the news. It's amazing. This is the level of destruction, right? That this like fire just whoosh, just goes through. And
from my understanding, it started from a campfire, right?
Most things always start from a campfire or some kid trying to do a prank or something. Who knows? But so we got campfires. This over the weekend we celebrated 100 years since the end of the World War I. It's been 100 years. There was a lot of controversy there, but the world leaders got together. World War I is the first modern war. And the first
Modern Warfare.
The first war. That's a video game for the Xbox, PlayStation. First war where they used automatic weapons. So imagine, before people met in front of fields, and charged. Now you had people first they charged and millions, right? Millions died. So that's something we should always. As a history guy, it's always, we should always kind of...
Yeah, that's you.
Kind of remember that.
History.
Because of the devastation. That war wiped out a generation of men.
Yeah, it did.
So we have that. Now, for the nerds out there, today was a very sad day.
For we nerds.
I don't count myself in that ilk. I don't want to be in that company. Bad company. Bad company of nerds.
You already
are,
dude.
But what is it, Jay? What happened?
Today we lost a great man, a great visionary,
a great American,
right? A guy who humanized superheroes, right? If you think about it, right? There was Superman, and there were all these other superheroes who were like just like untouchable,
like gods, demigods.
Right? Yeah.
Or,
And then here comes this guy who was rejected as a writer for DC, right? And used that rejection to start his own company, which after a while turned out to be Marvel Comics, right? And Stan Lee, man, creator of Spider-Man, right? Creator of Fantastic Four. I think he had.
didn't he have a hand in Black Panther?
He created Black Panther, right? This white guy created Black Panther. He co-created Doctor Strange, Daredevil, these big superheroes,
big iconic,
right? That have become icons now. Like all came out of the mind and imagination of Stan Lee. And from what I understanding, in my little time working for Marvel Comics, the way Stan Lee would create these heroes is that he would get with a writer, right? It's just him and a writer in a room, or whatever, right? Or writer illustrator. Like Steve Ditko was a writer illustrator, right? So he would just get in a room and he would just like make up the stories, just like out loud, speaking them out loud, and the illustrator, co-writer would follow the story and then create the character, right? So it's like if I want to make up a superhero right now, I would just say, hey, so I see whatever, right? And then one of you guys will start drawing it out, and then I'll come in with my input, and that's how these heroes were like created, with the exception of Spider-Man. Like he just created Spider-Man off the bat.
A stick man comic book.
And
that's all I can do. Stick man.
And dude, like he humanized. Like the biggest attraction to like a Spider-Man is the fact that he was just like a regular Joe,
kid
that just happened to be given these superpowers.
Right.
And even though he had them, because of his uncle, great power comes with great responsibility. He still like he humanized him.
Right. Makes mistakes. It doesn't. Feels. He feels the mistakes he makes.
He feels the weight of it.
Repercussions. Right. And the consequences of that. So he passed away 95 years old. So nobody can say he didn't live a good life.
Dude, he is so iconic that he made a cameo in Teen Titans Go, which is like a DC movie, right? Like totally the other party. He made a cameo in the DC movie. Not once, but twice. He showed up twice in Teen Titans Go, in the Teen Titans Go movie.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen Teen Titans Go, watch it for Teen Titans Go because it's hilarious. And then the little bonus will be
it's hilarious.
The Stan Lee.
Yeah, I can honestly say that Stan Lee was a big part of my life. Like, he was a big part of my life growing up, reading comics and buying Marvel Comics. Yeah, I remember Marvel Comics. They were comics when they sold for a quarter.
When they were a nickel.
But they were a quarter.
My daddy would give me a quarter. I get a comic book and a pop and a hard candy, and I'd go read in the park. That's what Jay sounds like right now.
Right, but I'm saying like he was a big part of my.
Take the subway for a penny
of my life growing up. So
that's us. We want to give a shout out to. Not that he can hear it, but we'll give a shout out.
Yeah,
to
rest in peace to Stan the Man Lee.
Stan,
the whole world says Excelsior right now.
So we have that. So now, we're gonna go ahead and hit. So we're gonna go our song of the week, and we're gonna go our movie trailer of the week, so we can kind of
get out of the way.
Get those out the way. So our song of the week, dude, we just ran across randomly. And
I don't even know how you found him because
I opened up YouTube and he was there.
And he was there in the YouTube.
Yeah. So the dude's name is K Sparks. Song's called "Say Less." We'll have it on the site. We'll tweet it out and Instagram it out and Facebook it out. Super dope. Real kind of like almost like 90s era vibe. It's like a real jazzy.
It's a real jazzy
hip hop vibe.
East Coast New York hip hop.
Dude raps. It's but it's a great little story. It's very dope. So we
which is funny because I was talking to Juice today. He was telling me about how, like, with the emergence of trap, like how he misses like the old school
kind of vibe. Yeah.
Kind of vibe that had like there was more musicality.
Correct.
In hip hop back in the day, right? So
right.
Like that's why when we heard it while we were listening to it, like I sent them the link so you can check it out.
Right, because back in the day they would take music from other people, actual music from other people, and use it instead of just using a pad and creating their own thing.
Right.
So that's so anyway, so be on the lookout for that. And then our trailer of the week is a surprise, right? I would say it's a surprise.
Yeah, I would say it sure is.
Because when we first heard this movie was being made, we were both kind of gave like a stink face, right? We were kind of like, what? Now,
why is this getting a movie?
I'm not a big fan. I was never a big fan of this little cartoon character or whatever. It wasn't a thing for me. Maybe I'm too old or I was aging out of it. There's people my age that are really into it. So that can't be the excuse, right? But the trailer dropped today for a live action / animated movie. Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
With Ryan Reynolds
With Ryan
as the
Reynolds
voice of Pikachu.
As the voice of
I
Pikachu.
did not know that.
That's why I said Deadpool Chew before.
And
Surprise.
so first of all, like I remember the first few Pokemon movies. I remember when they came out and they played in the movie theater.
Yeah, but they were animated.
They were big things, right? Animated, bunch of kids and people in their 20s, in their 30s probably at that time. But Pokemon kind of went away, right? Kind of as far as being mainstream, it kind of died down. You still had the hardcore people. Then it kind of made a little bit of a comeback
With the game.
with the Pokemon Go on the phones. And I remember when it first came out, we'd go to the park up here, Swift Cantrell Park, and you see everybody just walk. You knew who was there for the game because they're walking around, looking down, and none of them were in shape. So what I'm saying is that's how you knew. It's like these people crawled out of their basements.
You saw they were all pale people.
Pokemon. They're all pale, chunky, pale people.
People still play.
And I say that, with love in my heart. But eat a salad every once in a while. So I'm very judgmental now that I've lost weight. And I own that. I own that. I can be.
That's why you
Right? I can be judgmental. I was a fat guy. I was an obese guy. Now I'm just fat, working my way down.
Working my way down to chunky.
But it's a chunky. I might be chunky now,
Yeah.
So yeah, Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Check it out. Like I said, we'll have it out there.
Yeah, it'll be up on the website.
It surprisingly looks good. Like I told Jay, I was like, I'm gonna go watch it in the movie theaters.
Dude, like,
I'll go watch it in the movie theaters.
It's so funny because I remember when they first announced it, and I was like, "Oh, what the hell? Come on, seriously?
Really, Pokemon?
Just because of Pokemon Go?" But then seeing the trailer, I was like, "Yo, this is hilarious!" Like Deadpool too.
Yes. So I'm gonna take a left here because did we talk about? Okay, so I'm jumping off of Pokemon Go because I don't know if we talked about this last week.
Dun, dun, dun.
The Catholic version of Pokemon Go. Did we?
No, we didn't talk.
We
about
didn't
it.
bring that
We
up.
didn't bring it up on the podcast. We
we
did talk about it.
So
I made a very inappropriate joke about it.
Right. So we're not gonna say the joke.
Well, we may say the joke.
We're not gonna say the joke.
But we may say the joke.
I'm gonna send this to Angel. Be like, Angel, I need you to edit this part out. So listen to this, James. Because Pokemon Go was so popular, this guy approached the Vatican, approached the Catholic Church, and got their permission to create I call it a Saints Go, where instead of hunting Pokemon, you hunt the saints.
Was it the saints or was it priests?
Saints. The saints. You go and you try to find the saints. And so you walk around, you get artifacts, just like the game, but it's for you're looking for saints. You might look for some priests, I would imagine, but it was like saints. And I can't remember the name of it, but it was like I call it Saints Go because that just seems very appropriate. Did you find it, Jay? It would probably be in
Vatican blessed app is Pokemon Go for Saints.
For Saints.
Follow JC Go.
Follow JC Go, and you can. Hey, so if you're opposed
to there you go.
If you're opposed to the
it should have a an R rating.
If you're opposed,
like don't let your children play this game.
If you're opposed, wow, you did it. You did it.
25 and over.
Oh man, you know what? We're gonna have a moment of silence for that joke. Not for Stan Lee, but for that joke. Very inappropriate, Jay. We have Catholic listeners, Jay. Way to offend them all. Now we're gonna lose all three of them.
They're not gonna get offended. They're offended more with what's going on in Pittsburgh
Or they're not.
and in Atlanta. No, did you hear that? That
Band-Aid.
the Cardinal of Atlanta put out a list of the Catholic priests that were also offenders here in Atlanta.
No, I did not see that.
But anyway, let's go back to this.
So anyway, the idea
Catholic
though,
go at.
the idea you're gonna like hunt the saints. But my question is, if you're in America, like your saints would be like you wouldn't have many saints, right? Most of them are over in Europe,
I think it's mainly for
or maybe like
the Vatican area.
The people in Rome.
Hey, but with Pokemon Go, people travel to different countries to catch Pokemon.
Right, because
Yes.
there are country
Wasn't
Pokemon.
there one guy that caught them all? He traveled all over the world.
No, he caught all of the ones here in the States, and then he was sponsored to I forgot who, I think Sheridan or whoever, they flew him out to the other countries that
To try to
had
catch-
just a regional, so he can catch them and he can fill up.
Try to catch the regional
Yeah.
ones. That's insane.
Which is funny, right? No, because it was only because he did it like I think in a week or in 2 weeks.
Okay, that's
he-
insane.
Yeah, it's super
because
insane.
that means you don't sleep.
Yeah, exactly. He said he would be at work, he would leave work, and he would walk like 30 blocks home so he can go.
Yeah, he was in New York.
Yeah, it was in New York. And then he would go, like his girlfriend supported him, and then they let out some Pokemon that only came out at night. So he would get in a cab because it's New York. you don't be walking around New York City.
He had a girlfriend.
That supported him.
I quit.
So instead of
I'm
making,
out.
instead of making fun of the fat people that are walking around the park, you should join them. You get a girl.
I should join them and I get a fat girl for a girlfriend.
But then you guys are walking around, so there you go.
Nah,
You lose it all.
I couldn't do that. I don't even play like any games on my phone. I can't.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
can't try to. I can't do it.
So
I
just
tried.
go and
I can't
support
do it.
her then. Let her
Nah,
play.
that's all right. I'm not moving to New York just so that I can meet
No,
somebody.
I'm
to
saying
play.
here.
Yeah,
here.
no. Last time I went to Swift Cantrell, the numbers, the herd had thinned, as it were.
You say my joke was inappropriate.
But at least mine's not like against a group of people, a religion. So
Anyway,
So
moving right along.
I had another joke. Oh no, the best part about Pokemon Go in New York was that people get mugged because they weren't paying attention.
Dude. No,
But-
that's what I'm saying. Like he would take a cab. He would have the cab
Drive
drive him around.
Wow, that's a lot of money. All right, so now we got a couple of stories that are bananas,
Yeah, this is two drops in our
Like-
what the bucket.
like bananas.
What the bucket?
Both of them.
So we need a bumper for this.
Yeah, like both of these stories. It's kind of like the old like the record getting stopped, right? Skirt.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know. You know what? Let's start with the Lutheran pastor.
Yes, let's do the free range.
Let's do the free range first. So out in Colorado,
the grass fed.
is it in Colorado? I believe it's in Colorado.
Oh my goodness.
So there's this.
Let me
Yeah, it is.
confirm.
It is. Out in Colorado, there's this. There's a church organization called the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, and they have this woman pastor who
Super relevant, right?
who
Because
is
she's a
super-
woman.
No, that's not even the.
super
That's not,
tatted up.
That's not even the. That's not even the thing, right?
Like, oh my
'Cause
God, she's so relevant.
charismatics have pastors, but right. What made her stand out the first time I ran across her was that she's like this female that was, all tatted up. She cursed, which I was like, well, Mark Driscoll did it first, so that's
And he lost. And he lost the church organization he founded.
and he regretted it, right? But then she's very like her church is they're very open in their
Very open
theological
and
stances,
and inclusive.
as it were, very open and inclusive. Have a lot of LGBTQ members, and just a kind of a very. So she comes out. She wrote this book apparently, but part of the thing is she came out as she's very pro LGBTQ and pro pornography. Right, so she's pro pornography. So now I will say this: her reasoning at the very beginning to me made a little bit of sense.
Did it?
A little bit.
What'd she say?
Right? Because she says this. She goes, I refuse to pick the low-hanging moral outrage fruit of liberals and conservatives about porn. Now, there are issues of justice and exploitation within the industry, no question, but it doesn't mean... Now, this is where I don't agree with her. It doesn't mean consumption of pornography should be shamed. So she's saying, part of what she's saying is, I'm not going to shame people when they already feel ashamed, and I can abide with that a little bit, right? We know, all of us having grown up in church, we know, if shaming someone doesn't necessarily bring them in closer, to God, right? When you start shaming people, usually that's what ends up driving them away, especially because that they feel, especially when you know that they feel ashamed about it, right? And they feel ashamed about it because we don't talk about it, right? It's not something that's talked about. Why? Because it's shameful. So then adding that shame on top of that shame isn't helpful. So I kind of, on that aspect of it, I'm like, yeah, I can see that. We shouldn't just go around shaming people.
It doesn't matter what sin.
But she's like, I'm not going to shame him. If we took shame out of the fact that people like to view erotic imagery, the compulsive behavior around consuming pornography would decrease. And that I was kind of like, I don't know about that.
If you don't make people feel bad about porn, then they'll stop watching porn.
I
don't think that's the reason.
But so there's it's an interesting conversation, because you do have organizations like XXX Church that's that's what they deal with, right? They deal with helping people, whether it's people that are in the porn industry get out of the porn industry, or whether it's
as far as I know,
get through that.
They don't sit there,
right? They don't shame you, but they don't
join you either.
They don't join you and say it's okay. So we thought it was funny because for me,
right, go ahead.
Here
it comes.
Was the thing is that she talked about that it as long as it was like ethical porn.
What the hell?
Right? Because she was like, well, yeah, there is exploitation in pornography, and that's not
all
good.
pornography is
right. People shouldn't be here we go. Ethically, and so I can quote her, right? No fake news.
Go ahead, no fake news.
She said, which makes what she said is even better than what I said, actually. She goes, there's nothing wrong with viewing pornography. It's fine, especially if it is ethically sourced porn.
Ethically
sourced porn. My question is, what does that mean?
That means you go out into the country and you find
porn actors running around free
range, grass-fed, organic.
And if they're the ones that make it, you're okay.
Then you're okay.
But if you go to the porn factories where they have them all bunched up in cages,
right? Where they
then that's
you go
wrong.
to the porn factory that is owned by Monsanto, and they're corn fed, and they have
right.
STDs, HIVs,
because
XYZs,
because they're all in a cage and they're
right.
corn fed.
Yeah, they're corn fed.
Then I guess
all that is corn syrup.
So for me, the whole thing of this story, that's what stood out. Like, not just the fact that she was like, it's fine to watch it, go ahead. I was like, her church membership is going to grow, but all she needed to say is, you can watch porn, and I don't care if you smoke weed. I mean, she's in Colorado, so it's like whoosh, all of a sudden it's going to be a mega church. Legacy. No, so
that's not the legacy.
That's not the legacy way. That's not. But the whole idea of ethically sourced porn, completely,
all the jokes,
completely.
All the jokes.
I was just like, what is
all the jokes?
What? I want to tweet. I want to say, what is ethically sourced porn? Mean?
Tweet her.
I should. I was like, what does that mean?
Tweet her. What do you mean by ethically sourced porn? It's a farm in Colorado. There you go. They have a free range porn farm in Colorado.
They moved them out there from California with all the burning, all the woods burning. They just kind of moved them out to save them.
Oh man! And on that note,
my goodness. So now the other one,
and on that note, we are praying for the people of California that are
that is true.
suffering with the forest fires.
It's sad. But all right. So then the third article that I ran across today. That once again, I just don't understand. I don't understand.
The moron awards are full today.
I don't understand. So this is off of a website called Pulpit and Pen. And now their source comes out of news sources out of Toronto, out of Canada, and this is the title: After coming out as atheist, pastor still keeps job. After coming out as atheist, pastor still keeps job. So I'm just gonna. This is just the
that's funny though, right? Isn't that like in the, isn't that like in the title? Right? If I go to work tomorrow and I say, you know what, I am no longer an art director. I no longer want to be an art director. Right? You think I'm gonna keep my job? You think this is gonna say, okay, Jay? Well, just stay there because you're a good-looking guy and you fill up that chair really well.
Right.
No, like and everybody likes you.
Yeah. We know. All bunch of lies right there.
Well, one lie breeds more.
Begets another and begets another. So this is kind of the first paragraph. A United Church minister who had faced an unprecedented ecclesiastical court.
United Church is the name of
like the
organization.
The organization. A United Church minister who had faced an unprecedented ecclesiastical court hearing over her professed atheism is no longer in danger of a defrocking after the two sides reached an agreement in the long-running case. Now, she came out as an atheist in 2016.
Right. From what I read, she's been a professed atheist for a while.
Retaining her position with the church
as a pastor,
even in spite of not believing in God. Yes, as a pastor. So this pastor who doesn't believe in God is going to be a pastor of a church
and it's not a small church.
Well, not even this. It's like if a Southern Baptist pastor came out and said, "I'm an atheist now," and the Southern Baptist Convention was like, "Well, you know what? That's fine. You can stay there."
No,
because we know the Southern Baptist is very conservative.
Yeah, even worse in that article, it says that the members of the church were okay with it.
Yeah, like half the members of the church
they're good with it.
Cool, that's your truth. What?
Stuff like this makes me want to curse.
I just want to punch things.
Right? Because this is the reality, right? Let me take it a little personal
James,
right now.
Don't you ever do this to us.
Right? Let me take it a little personal right now, right?
We will run you down.
Right? We're here with this whole legacy thing. So we'll wait till you get tired, right? This whole legacy thing, right?
You always got to come back.
The legacy church and working slowly and praying and pulling in things to try to start this church. And all I got to do is say I'm an atheist, and like everybody will start coming. Come on.
I mean, honestly though, like I kind of want to see if she posts her sermons online because I would like to know what an atheist pastor preaches about on Sundays.
What's her name?
Greta
Vosper. Greta Vosper. Podcast.
So yeah, she was ordained in 1993, served minister of West Hill United Church. That's the name of the church. So she's been there since 1997. Yeah, most of her current congregants are supportive of her views, but some have been critical, saying her beliefs.
She's on Stitcher.
Saying her beliefs are at fundamental odds with the doctrine and values of the United Church.
Ready?
The second largest religious denomination.
Ready? Right. She's on Stitcher. Greta Vosper, bridging the space between religion and secularism.
But see, that might just be a blog. I mean, a podcast where she's talking. We're gonna have to see because I'm super curious.
What's the name of the church?
West Hill United Church. West Hill United Church.
United Church. West Hill. We should have.
Let's see.
If you want dialogue, we are eager to talk. Well, get a mobile-friendly website.
Oh, you found them?
Yeah.
West Hill United Church. So we'll have to see if
Book study resources.
Yeah, so
West Hill.
So there we go.
Hill.
So
West Hill podcast.
a lot of just nuttiness.
Yeah,
I
got it.
don't get us. We'll have to listen to it.
That's to listen to later.
So yeah, so those are the two things that kind of made us scratch our heads and wonder what's going on, because
what's going on?
but you know that's
I mean, let's be honest, right?
that's the world we live in, right?
Scusi, right? Let's be honest. With what's been going on for years, isn't this like a non-surprising event in the trajectory of the modern, let's say the modern church, in the direction that the modern church has been going, where it's more feelings and your truth and secularism rather than scripture and holiness and faith?
Yeah, I could see that. What do you think, James?
I was just reading through like articles,
right?
And just the title itself of the articles kind of got me stuck. It's like author, pastor, atheist. Right? It's just like it just doesn't make sense, you know. I think, I kind of agree with Jay. It's disappointing to hear, but I'm not really surprised,
right?
To be honest, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got Christian artists coming out saying all of a sudden, that they're atheists, and then when you hear their reasoning, you're like, well, did you ever read the Bible that you're against? Like, come on, Gungor, really?
We're not going to mention any names.
I didn't mention names. I mentioned the name of the band. It's not the same. I didn't say Lisa Gungor. Really, on BuzzFeed's YouTube video that you put out there.
Relevant
magazine that make no freaking sense. Really? But, hey, that's what we do. Or not do. We never call people out.
We never call people out.
So
not on this podcast.
Because we're all about the love. What about the love, like the Black Eyed Peas said? So... all right, so Jay, let's go ahead and jump into. It's time for Pastor Jay. That's a nice little segue. Very like a hard right.
That's a hard screech.
That's skirt. Screech. But yeah, so that's kind of what we got as far as just the nuttiness. So feel good about. Listen, we'll have the links. We'll have the links to those articles. You can read them. And then make yourself feel better by listening to K Sparks and watching the Pokemon. So, hello? Yes, so we can watch Pokemon Go to feel better. Listen, we're all about transparency here. We had a little bit of a setback, but we are back. We are back.
We ran out of tape.
And we don't even use tape. How weird is that? So, as we were saying earlier, I'm repeating it. Listen, we're posting all this stuff. Watch Pokemon. Watch K Sparks. Now we're going to get to the meat of the issue, the heart of the matter, the thing that matters most.
Now it's time for me
what
to
is it, Pastor Jay? Go.
No, it's time for me to
Pastor Jay,
transition
go.
to my Pastor Jay voice.
Pastor Jay, go.
So
Pastor
on this
Jay,
week's
go.
podcast teaching, we find So check this out. So last week we talked about running the race, right? And I shared about how I went up to New York with James and he ran the marathon, and it was dope because, like, being born and raised in New York City, I had never paid attention to the New York City Marathon at all, ever.
I knew it happened.
Ever. I knew it happened.
That an Ethiopian always wins.
I didn't care about when.
Or a Kenyan.
Like, it didn't matter to me because, for me, I don't run unless it's from the cops, right?
And even then.
Right? That's straight. If I'm not being chased by the cops, I ain't running.
And even then, it's more of a brisk walk.
And since I don't commit any more crimes, I don't run anymore. Right, so that's one thing. Number two, I knew that the marathon happened in cold weather, and for me, all the people are crazy.
We no longer believe in
how you gonna be outside with them short shorts and tank tops running, and it's freezing outside? Yeah, get out of here. Luckily, though,
that's for suckers, James.
That Sunday, it wasn't that cold. It wasn't that cold.
Oh, it was cold.
Not when I went outside.
It was cold, man.
Because you went out in the morning, like 4 a.m, and then at night. But anyway, James is he's an AT alien, right? He founded, right? You're the founder of the Atlanta Run Club, right? So I'm a hush it now, and spotlight's yours, dude. Tell these great listeners, our 20 great listeners, who you are, what you do, and what's up with this.
Yeah, so I am a PT. So by default, I love fitness. I love getting people together. I love community. And just one of the things I love to do is to just run. And running has been one of the things where, one, it's been a good source of exercise for me. It's free. You know, you don't have to pay to run on the streets, to run on a treadmill. And also, it's been like a big stress reliever. I think for me, when I run, it's a time for me to really just clear my thoughts, clear my head, and just run. Think about things if I need to, but ultimately it kind of keeps my mind off things. And without it, I think I'd be a little more stressed as a person.
Right. I can see that. For you,
Yeah,
I can see
for
that.
me.
Right? So James and I, we went up to New York City. It was your first time in New York.
Yeah.
Right? So we had to take care of we got there Thursday.
I'm jealous because you went to
Got
Brooklyn.
that Thursday.
So, yeah, we stayed in Brooklyn.
I'm jealous.
Which is funny because we stayed in Bed-Stuy, and I'm like, I used to sell so much weed here, but it's all clean. And now the weed is fancy and it's more expensive.
Was it ethical weed?
ethically sourced.
No, it wasn't
weed.
ethically sourced weed. I don't know where it was from. No, it's not. I think the weed now is ethically sourced because they have nice little canisters with labels and designs and names. I just sold them in transparent baggies. But anyway, there's grace for that. But anyway, right? So we got there Thursday night and we did the tourist thing, which is funny because we were both exhausted. 'Cause I don't think I told you this, right? We got there at 8, but we didn't leave the airport till like 9 or after 9, right?
PM?
Yeah, no,
Yes.
it was like 10.
It was like 10.
It was like 10.
Yeah.
It took us 2 hours to leave
To
once we
leave
landed.
the airport, right? Because we flew into LaGuardia, he flew in dental. He flew in Delta, and I flew in American.
That's
so
the tooth.
So it was two different what is it? Whatever.
Flights,
Terminals.
Thank you. And they're doing construction at LaGuardia now, so none of the terminals are connected anymore. Like you can't just walk from terminal to terminal.
Gotcha.
Because there's construction. So in trying to figure that all out, he gets on one of the buses, on one of the free buses, and for whatever reason, it leaves the airport and it breaks down. It breaks down and leaves him in Queens somewhere.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, the bus was literally in neutral for a good 20 seconds on the road.
And then you're in Queens. Ugh. I spent a lot of time in Queens.
Right? So then I call an Uber, and the Uber guy waits somewhere and doesn't tell me where he is. He just tells me, I'm over here. I'm at the column. I'm like, dude, there are columns everywhere. You're like, be specific. Like, it wasn't specific. So waiting for an Uber. Then I get a lift, and the lift guy, like, he did his thing, and picked him up. We went to Brooklyn. It's like 2 hours just walking around trying to find each other at the airport. Oh, that sucked.
It's like a romantic movie. And you did. Did you guys run to each other? Or did you stand there and James, since he's the runner,
I was in the lift.
in the car,
Yeah.
yeah.
He was run. I was in the car.
ran
So
to the car.
every time he got close to the car, I would tell the Uber driver, "Go ahead, go." That's a lie. But so we did the tourist thing, exhausted, dropped everything off. But since it was his first time, you went to Times Square.
Right.
We got to Times Square at 1:00 in the morning.
Best time to be in Town Square?
Which was great, except that it's funny. We were discussing how tired we were. Right. The train wasn't running, so we had to take the shuttle bus to the train. Right, and we were exhausted. But the minute we stepped into Times Square
like
and
those
the
lights.
lights and the energy, like all of a sudden, it was like our fourth win. Like we were just up.
Yeah, the lights, the Black Hebrew Israelites.
No Black Hebrews.
No, not this time.
No.
Oh.
Thank God. Right?
Oh.
Thank God. No, it was.
Like, I am the devil.
It was nothing but tourists.
Compared to them.
It was nothing but tourists. Everybody just taking
Elmo.
pictures and because it was nighttime, so none of that stuff was there.
Yeah, those guys.
No superheroes, no naked cowboy, no
go to
nothing.
sleep. Aw.
He was there the next day. We went the next day. Well, afternoon, whatever, right? So we did the tourist thing at night. Friday we had the Lecrae tour, the Lecrae and Mineo tour. Show, not tour.
Right.
And then
The next day you ran your race, right?
no, because that was Friday. Saturday we just hung out.
Yeah, hung out Saturday. Race was Sunday.
Oh,
We hung out. He had a friend of his show up, Chinita. Well, I call her Chinita.
But and she's a chinita, right?
As you know, she's Korean. But
Tomato.
but like I said, for us Ricans, they're all
Those Ricans,
Chinitas.
they're all chinitas.
Right?
You're
So,
a chino. You're a chino. You're a chino. It's like, sorry.
And
You call me Mexican.
And we met with Sean. Sean, I explained on this last week in the podcast. And yeah, we just hung out. Yeah, we walked by my old school, took pictures.
Again? No, you're at college.
Yeah,
You went
college.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my old
High school's all the way in Far Rockaway. That's a long way to walk.
No, that's way up in the city, and it's shut down.
Which school did we go to? Last time we were in New York. We went to your high school.
We went to my other high school. So remember,
Other high
I
school,
started
that's right.
high school in the city, and then somebody got their head beaten on the train in the same car that I was on going home. And my dad, with no hesitation, just ripped me out of the school.
He said, no more.
I'm
You will
almost
not be
done.
going to that school
Like,
no more.
I'm almost done. He just ripped me out. And I was like, nope,
Sad.
nothing's going to happen to you on the
He
train.
said, you're going to this ghetto school. and, you're
Right?
gonna like it.
Right? So,
And he goes, yes, papi.
yeah, hell yeah.
And scene.
And scene. Right? And then Sunday was the race.
Cool.
So I need James to share the clean version of
Yes.
of what he was told at the bodega Saturday night. Because we ate pizza. I think we ate pizza almost every day. We ate pizza
Makes me sad.
and a bagel, like because he had a carb load like the night before. So we went into this bodega, and this guy, he has to say it because he says it better than I do.
So what
And it's his
happened?
experience.
What happened at the bodega?
You talking about the store owner?
Yeah, the store owner.
Yeah.
Oh, basically he called me crazy. But okay, so long story short, he was like, "Did you pay for this marathon?" And I was like, "Yeah." It was $200 for the marathon. And he looked at me like I was insane, and he said, "Hey, I'll pay you $150 to run to Jersey and come back. you could do it for cheaper."
He's like, see, I give you discount.
What's the mileage difference?
The funny thing is that he looks at me and then he looks at James like this, like sardonic, like you guys, like you're out of your mind. He says, "Listen, I don't know you," because he had the accent. "I don't know you, but you're crazy."
Oh, he was Latino?
No, he was Arabian.
Arab?
He was Arab. So he was like, "You're crazy." Like, me, I would never do something like that. I would never do that. You're crazy. It's like I give you discount.
You should have.
Like I'm so dead.
You should have figured out what the mileage was. You could have made it easy 150 if it was less than the marathon.
I was like, I'm so dead. Like he's just like, yo, we're trying to buy stuff from your store. And you're
That's all I'm
insulting.
saying.
You're insulting.
No, I would have paid him the.
No, he said pay me. Yeah, he said pay.
Oh,
me.
he said pay me the
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Oh,
Because I paid $200 to the organization.
Oh, so
to
he
run
wanted you to
26.
pay
Yeah, he's
him.
like, you paid
I
$200.
was confused. I was waiting.
Like he kept cursing. So we're like, we're not
Yeah,
cursing.
bleep,
It's like you
bleep.
paid $200
play
for that
bleep and
bleep.
bleep, bleep,
Listen,
bleep, bleep,
you're crazy.
bleep, 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 bleep.
Pay me $150, and I'll take you to New Jersey. You can run back. I give you a discount.
Give me this one. Nice. Hey, not a bad deal. Next time you know.
Yeah, so he ran the race,
Next time you can say you ran
and that's what we want to talk
the
about, right?
Jersey, New York
Because
marathon.
like when I first saw James when he was running through Brooklyn, I didn't know that the marathon was going to run past the apartment we were staying. And so they started blasting music at 4:30 in the morning,
Right.
like a bunch of jerk New Yorkers.
Yep. No one likes him.
So then, so that's how I found out. I was like, oh, okay. Another buddy of his, Sam, I mentioned this last week, showed up. And it was also Sam's like first time in New York, but like he's been to New York City as a tourist, but he hasn't done anything locally, right? Like as a local.
Right.
So I took him to this bagel spot that we went to where they make the bagels right there every morning. And we wait for James, right? And we were able to track him on the app. So we were able to see how close he got and whatever. And dude, it's so funny because we see him, he stops to brag. Yeah, this is nothing, right? And he took a selfie, right? It's like we took a selfie. He was like, all right, yeah. And I posted, yo, he said that this is nothing. Oh my God, right? I'm all impressed. And then
why would you stop?
And then we jump on the train. Well, Sam and I jump on the train to see him at the
Finish line.
At the finish line.
Yeah, y'all still be waiting for me.
wait for me. Like I said,
I would have stopped at the apartment. All right, I got halfway. Hey, listen, no one has to know I didn't finish.
I was like, I would have stopped. I'm
gonna take a nap, guys.
I would have stopped for a pizza and a Peroni somewhere. It's just like I'm done.
Be done.
But anyway, so when we get to the finish line and we finally see him, right? Like the contrast between Brooklyn at the half mark,
right,
to the end, like he was like done. Like I didn't post those pictures. I didn't post those pictures. I posted the pictures of him holding the medal, right? Because he gets a medal. Because I had to ask him too, like, yo, do you at least get a medal for running those 26 miles? But anyway, and like when I first saw him, I was gonna take a picture. Like he was like, I don't know if he remembers. He's probably delirious, but he was like, nah, no pictures. Like, no pictures. But nice. I'm a jerk. I did anyway. But
true.
But then he tells me how he like his quads gave, right, and his hamstrings gave out, and he was like what was that movie with Simon Pegg, Run Fat Boy Run?
Mm-hmm.
Right, where he's like, you face a wall, like you hit a wall, like something happens or whatever, you hit a wall, and tell him. I mean, at what mile marker did you want to quit?
Probably right after I saw you guys. No, it was. I would say, like I tried to remember like the moments where it got tough, but mile like 18 to 22 was like brutal. I couldn't. I almost like threw in the towel at that point.
Why? Because
I couldn't move my legs. My legs were cramping. Quads, hamstrings were cramping, and like when you run.
No, I don't.
Okay, well, when you've been running for a while, like you kind of hit like what you call the runner's high.
Okay.
Right. So like at a certain point, like adrenaline just kicks in and you don't really get fatigued. You just like, at that point, it's like a mental thing. It kind of takes over and you're cruising. Right.
Right.
But, about mile 18, it's when that high just kind of went away. So it's like at that point, it's like your body is feeling and experiencing everything where it's at. Like the reality kind of kicks in, and it's like you're kind of off that high. I guess if you make like an allegory to faith and spirituality again, it's like you're off that spiritual high, and
that's when things got real.
Things got real.
You get home from camp.
You get home from camp, yeah, and there were times where people like, I mean, for 26 miles. Streets were packed with people,
right?
But there were also moments where, like, we were running through the bridge and there was nobody watching, you know. And I think that was the hardest part, where there weren't people cheering you on to push you forth. But towards
nobody screaming "Witness!"
Right. But yeah, at that point, I just kind of had to keep pushing. It was 100% like a mental thing at that point because my body physically it was like.
But what was it that made you push though? Right? Because like Joaquin just said, like you could have quit. And nobody would have known.
I didn't want to waste the $200. No. Just I knew that I would hit that point, and for me, running is one of those things where it provides a platform for me to just be grateful for things, like in life, and when things do get hard, it's not a time for us to give up, even though you want to.
Like, see,
it's easy to quit,
and it's awesome you said that, right? Because, like I said, I could find a sermon and I could see a sermon and everything. And when you told me that at the finish line, that like your legs were hurting, you wanted to quit and whatever, right? Like I immediately, my brain, I didn't say anything because like I was just focused on getting you some food,
Right.
Like to get
Yeah.
to get some nourishment in you after running all those miles, right? But Philippians 3:12, and we're gonna do what Joaquin said, go down to 16, right? It says, I don't mean to say that I have already achieved these things or that I have already reached perfection. Right, this is Paul speaking. Right? But I press on to possess that perfection for which Christ Jesus first possessed me. No, dear brothers and sisters, I have not achieved it, but I focus on this one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. I press on to reach the end of the race and receive the heavenly prize for which God, through Christ Jesus, is calling us. Let all who are spiritually mature agree on these things. If you disagree on some point, I believe God will make it plain to you. But we must hold on to the progress we have already made, right? And I love like it's funny how when you search things, right, you see that Paul he talks about his faith or about this walk that we're on with Jesus as a race, right? He talks about it. He like compares it. I'm like forgetting my words. Compares it to like bodybuilding. Like there are a lot of things like fitness centered that Paul uses, right, as examples. And when you said that, like real quick, these verses came to mind because it's just like you said. You know, when things get hard, that's when you shouldn't quit. But let's be real. Let's be honest. That's when most people quit, right? When things get a little tough, when things get a little rough, and, you know, for whatever reason, I guess they reflect on, like you said before, like that spiritual high, and they feel that it should be like that all the time, right? But there's no growth in that. There's no maturity in that, right? Because me, since unlike you, I'm an immature runner. What you felt at 18 miles, I feel in 18 minutes. I'm not gonna lie. I did it one day. I said, you know what? Maybe I should try this running thing. One morning, no lie. One night, so maybe I'm gonna try this running thing, and I set my alarm the next day for 5:30 in the morning, right? So I can go outside and run around my neighborhood, and then at 6 o'clock, go back home, take a shower, and get ready for work. I pulled up the playlist, right, on Spotify.
Yeah.
Pulled up the playlist. Threw in my headphones, right? Had the Beats headphones, right? My hoodie, my sweats. I started running downhill because my where I live, my neighborhood is on an incline. So I started running downhill first because of course that's easy. When I made the turn to go uphill, I'm not even lying. Like as soon as the incline started, I was already maybe I should walk. Right? Maybe I should walk. And when I made the turn, because I was supposed to do it at least twice, like, nah, freak that. I'm going home.
Yeah. I get that. I don't like running either.
It wasn't even 10 minutes. It wasn't even 10 minutes. I quit. I'm going home.
Running like vegetables is for suckers. that's gonna be my mantra. It's gonna be my head.
Right? But he says it, you know, I'm not saying that I did it already, right? I'm still running, right? And I'm still pushing, right? Even though it's hard, even though I might want to quit, but I'm going to still push because I press on to possess that perfection for which Christ Jesus first possessed me. Like Jesus did this for me so that I can get it. You know what I mean? And when you said that, like, you know, your legs gave up under you, you wanted to quit, you got tired, but you kept on because it's 26.2 miles, right? And you gave up, and you wanted to, well, you didn't give up. Take that back. But you felt like giving up on mile 18, right? So that's still, 8.2 miles, right? If my math, that's right, messed up as it normally is. Like I said that before I thought about it, so I threw it out there. Hold on, wait a minute, let me count. Right, so that's still 8.2 miles. Like, yo, that's a lot.
I think that was over half. You had already run over half the race, right? You know, and I think that if we want to make that correlation, it seems like a lot of times that's kind of when we quit. That's kind of when we stop. You know, in our kind of our faith walk or our faith journey. You know, we have to push through the hard to get to the blessing, right? As some pastors would say, or whatever. The prize. So the prize at the end of the race, at the end of the marathon, is what? You get a medal, right? That's nice. But I would imagine that the greatest prize, though, is the fact that you did it.
Right.
Right. I set out to accomplish this thing, and I got to. And so you get to the end, and you're tired, and you're beat. But in all things, there's always that re-energizing because you did it. I set out. All the years, let's say just the year, like the whole year of training, running every day, running on the weekends. Extending how much you run all the time, right? Building yourself up for what? For 26 miles. You want to quit, like if you quit at the end, if you quit at 8 miles, you got 8 miles left and that's when you quit. Right? Yeah. If you think it's like, you just wasted.
But it's like that though, right? Because sometimes in this walk, right, we struggle for something, we pray for something. We cry, we petition before the Lord, and we don't know this, right? Because we don't see it. But there are many times where we quit when the blessing is like right around the corner.
Right around the corner.
Right? It's like it's just you wait till you reach the corner and make that turn, and that's where your answer is. And we quit because you know what? I've been doing this for 25 years and I'm done. Right? I'm still here. It's still a struggle. It still it still hurts, and I just can't anymore. I'm not doing this anymore, right? And God is like, yo, like 25 years, right? 25 years. Now you want to quit? I mean, come on, son, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's the thing. Like we titled this "Finish Strong" because, like James did it. Like he wanted to quit. Right at the 18 marker.
He probably didn't think he finished strong.
Right? No, and he probably didn't. And I keep pushing this, right? Except that he came in, he finished, but he finished an hour faster than his last time, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half. Look, humble brag. An hour and a half faster than the last marathon he ran, right? And then. He came in, and you still came in. He came in 30 minutes sooner than the predetermined time that the app gave him, right, from his start, right, from his start. Like he started at this time, then the predetermined time for him to end was this time, and he came in a half hour before that. And then, like the third thing is that another friend of mine was also in the marathon, and when I was tracking you both. And he was always a mile or a mile and a half ahead of you, right? It was like, for me, it was like a foot race, right? It was like, yeah, come on, right? And I'm showing Sam, look, this is where this guy is. This is where James is. And then it's like, oh, look, James is closer. Oh, and then it's like, oh, he's like 2 miles ahead of him. He's 4 miles ahead of him. It's like, yeah, James is winning, right? So, an hour and a half faster than his last time, a half hour faster than the app thought that he was going to be, and you like pass my other buddy that was in the race, right? So that's why you finish strong, and you stay in the faith, right? To keep it tied, right, to what Paul said. You got to train. So you train by getting in Scripture. You pray, right? You walk with the Holy Spirit. That's your training when it comes to this, and you got to stay believing that God is going to keep His promise. The same way you stay believing that all your running and all your training, right, was going to help you push those, what did I say it was? 8.2 miles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And here's the thing. Like, I think the big picture of things that I always like to take away from moments like this is, it's like we're all in this race in life, and as believers, we know that the greatest race that we can participate in is the one where Jesus is the prize that we fix our eyes on. And I kind of thought of this on the way. It's like getting people to run is almost like getting people to try and start their journey of faith, because it's like just come on, like you can start. It's a mile, 2 miles, just anyone can do it. That's where I'm going with this, is that anyone can actually do this. Like a couple of years ago, like no lie, I could barely run 3 miles. Like I was running out of breath after running 3-4 miles. And it's just consistency. You just keep running and you kind of get through, figure things out, and you can eventually do it,
But you got to stay at it.
You got to stay at it. Yeah, got to stay at it. And I think people, like, when it comes to running, people are intimidated by it. It's like, oh, I can't do that. And it's the same way with, like, faith, too. When you invite them to join this race of faith, it's like, man, that means I got to start reading the Bible, start praying, start doing this and that. But I think the takeaway message is, it's like, it's little steps. And when you see people, like, cheering you on, like, the whole, basically, like, a large portion of New York City coming out to spectate and cheering you on, it really lets you know, man, like, in this journey, like, you're not in it alone either.
Right.
The fact that you and Sam came out to support, the fact that random strangers, people you've never met before, were just, like, the most passionate about you in that moment.
Yes.
And I think I hope that people listening and, it's bigger than running for sure. It's more than running. And in this journey of faith that we partake in, it's like, man, yeah, it's going to be hard. And in the beginning, like, it's going to be a learning curve even. You'll hit, like, a spiritual high. You'll eventually not want to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, just if you look around, as, in Hebrews, I think it's 11 when it talks about the cloud of witnesses, the people that ran the race before. And it's like, man, this is doable because Jesus did it for us.
Right. And if you put yourself in a nice church family,
right,
then you have those people that are going to be around you, like cheering you on and supporting you while you run your race. Right. That's dope. That's dope. That's dope.
So that's it. I got nothing else to add to it. You guys did an excellent job this week. I'll save my thoughts for next week.
So the takeaway of this is, run your race, right, and finish strong.
Yeah. So, hey, we are glad that you guys listening out there hung out with us this time. As always, we want to say thanks, James, for being here with us. Thank you. Like we tell everyone, if you're ever just sitting around bored and you want to join us, let Jay know. We're usually recording on Mondays because we can never do anything on time.
Hold on. Where can people get information about the Atlanta Run Club so they can join you?
Oh, yeah. So Atlanta Run Club, just a quick rundown of what it is. It started with me and my friends. It's a pop-up social run club that we started in the Atlanta, Duluth area. And we just kind of meet on random times. We post times and locations. People show up to run. We do all our announcements on our Instagram at Atlanta Run Club. That's it.
All right. Yeah. Cool.
All right. So that's it. So hey, glad that you joined us. TheOverflowPodcast.com. You can find all our information. As always, I'm Joaquin.
I'm still Jay.
And this is the Overflow Podcast. Till next week. Peace.